Stay up to date with Rush to Reason after the show on Twitter @Rush to Reason and on Facebook.com/Rush to Reason.
All right, Rush to Reason, Denver's Afternoon Rush, KLZ 560. Kurt Rogers joining us now. It's our bi-weekly, I should say, visit from Kurt where we talk about mortgages and ways to really strategize when it comes to helping you all, and this is what my goal is to help all of you not only just own a home, but how do you use that home and its equity and the things that surround that, as we talked really for the last hour in the last previous hour, I should say, we talked for quite some time at, how do you get ahead in life? What do you do? What are some of the things that you can actually use to make that happen? And Kurt, one of the things I want to talk to you about today was, first of all, renting versus owning. I am one that believes in home ownership because, frankly, I think it's the only way you build some good, solid equity that you can use to get ahead in life.
I don't disagree with that at all, but there's some pros and cons on both sides.
Okay.
Some of the strong arguments are if you buy a home, when you pay it off, it's yours. You own it.
Right.
If the home appreciates after you've paid the mortgage interest and the taxes and the maintenance over times, you've earned a return.
Got it.
You don't get that on a rental. Tax credits. Well, that used to be a story. You hear a lot of people getting off of that. You used to be able to write off your interest, and that used to be a benefit of home ownership.
Right.
It still may be, but it may not be.
Okay.
Arguments about renting. You don't own the house, and you pay quite a bit less because you're not paying interest on it. Now, when I ran those numbers, if we look at what an average rental in Denver is going for, it's $19.50 a month.
Okay.
So if you take the $19.50 times 5 years, that means you're going to pay out $117,000 in 5 years
In rent.
to rent.
Okay.
Plus the first and security of about $3,900. That's not if you have to put two securities, just one.
Just one.
If you own a home, let's say it's a $300,000 house, your house payment is going to be $1,846.
Okay.
That includes taxes and insurance.
Okay.
That's everything included with no mortgage insurance. That's $110,000. So in the same time frame, you've saved about $7,000. Now, in a purchase,
And own a home.
and you own a home. Now, in a purchase, you got to spend $9,000 to get into it, 3% down.
Okay.
But if the home appreciates at 4% a year in that 5 years, where the rental property does not.
Well, it did for somebody else.
It does for somebody else, but not for you.
Right.
And average appreciation's been anywhere from 6.9 to 10%
You
for the
went
last
pretty low
4
at
years.
4.
Your house is going to go from $300,000 to $360,000.
Okay. So
And during that time frame of making those $1,864 payments, you've paid it down to $264.
okay.
You have a net profit of $95,000.
Minus a realtor fee still gets you $75K or so.
Yeah, and let's say you spend $2,000 or $3,000 a year for maintenance, you're still
Yeah.
going to net $50,000.
But, and some of that, Kurt, and I think this is the misconception when it comes to renting. In some cases, you still have some of those expenses even when you're renting.
You have some. Plus,
all.
if there's something that breaks, you got to wait for somebody else to fix it. Otherwise, you're writing a
Correct.
check. If it's yours, you can fix it right away and
And
go
there's
on.
something about pride of ownership in your own place, not having that in a rental.
And being
right?
in a neighbor, having a community where
Even
you're
mentally,
part of
there's
that.
something that goes with that. Am I right?
That's right.
I mean, Dan, and not to pick on Dan, but Dan, I mean, you're renting now, but owned in the past.
Right.
Is there a mental thing that goes on in that realm?
Huge.
As in what?
Huge. First of all, pride of ownership.
Okay.
There's a big difference between, lining somebody else's pocket and taking care of your own.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I miss owning my own. That's why Kurt's going to help me get back into
Yes,
it.
we are.
Got it.
Now, one of my questions that I ask people when they say, should I own, should I rent? Do you rent your car? No, you own your car. Why? So you can take your car where you want. You can do with your car what you want. You put the wheels on it. You can upgrade it. Why would you? And it depreciates every year, unless you have classics like you and I,
Got
John.
it. Got it.
But if you have a house, why are you paying rent and losing that $50,000 to $70,000 in profit? It's just like putting money in the bank. So renting, I'm a proponent of owning the home, and we're starting to see more people do that.
Okay.
But it's definitely an advantage.
So, and I know there's times where renting is an advantage. You're in between, places. You don't know how long you're going to be someplace. Maybe you're not ready to put down roots. Maybe you've had some financial difficulties. You have to rent for X amount of time. I'm just one that says, hey, if you can get out of that mode, you know where you're going, the sooner the better.
Own.
And in the right market, I'm also a big one on that, and we'll talk a little bit about this as well. I am one that, and I talked to somebody about this the other day, I've always looked at home ownership as not only having a roof over my head, but was it the right investment? In other words, is this a home that if I play my cards right, will have a higher appreciation
Correct.
than even what some of the traditions around me may have? And a lot of that has to do with studying the markets,
Yes.
knowing the different neighborhoods that are in your particular area.
School districts, what's
That's
going
right.
on.
What have some done historically?
Yes.
And by the way, I'm also a guy, and I know this may shock some of you out there, may not shock others. I've never really worried too much about where I live in regards to schools, school districts, and all the rest of it. I'm more worried about what's the appreciation and does the house fit my needs right now.
Correct.
And I've heard so many people say, well, I can't move over there. My kids have to change schools. So what? Change. Who's running the family, the kids or you?
Yeah.
Sorry, but that to me, again, because of the way I look at it, Kurt, I've always looked at how is that house going to make me money? And I'll deal with everything else around it. I don't really care what school the kids end up in.
Because most of them are good enough that the kid would be fine if you're involved into it.
Thank you. Or you send them to charter school, private school. There's so many other ways around that I've never been one to worry about that side of the fence because we have cars and transportation. You can go from A to B. I'm more worried about the house, the location, and what kind of potential profit is there over anything else. Am I looking at it wrong?
I don't think you are. I kind of look at it the same way. And I found this out the other day, that when you go out to rent now, Cassie, you might be able to agree with this. When you're taking that application, if that rent is, let's say, $1,700, you have to gross 3 times that or you can't rent it. 3 times that. Now, when you think about that, that's a 33% debt ratio.
Yeah.
So you got to make 45 basically to rent at 17. In a mortgage, you can go to 50%.
It's a big difference.
And you can do it with less money down. Instead of a first security and a second security, you can do it with as little as 1% down. So on a $300,000 house, you can actually get into it with $3,000.
Got it.
And the payment's lower.
Got it.
And you're building the equity.
Right.
And it's 50% income, debt to income, instead of 33, because there's a lot of people that aren't making $50,000 and $60,000 to rent a $2,000 apartment.
I've heard the stories too through the years, Kurt, and other people that at times maybe have thought I was crazy in the way I did certain things when it came to this, i.e., well, John, what if the market crashes and you've got all this equity and it all goes away? Well, it did crash in '08. And housing prices in my particular area, I lived in Boulder at the time. In Boulder, they went down about 9% for about, 9 months and came back up. And I still made, really good money on that particular house that I owned on the last go around. And again, partially because of where it was located. And I'm a big one on looking at where that potential house or where that house is at.
Correct.
And buying that more so than am I going to be in the prime neighborhood so I can say that I live there? Because I've never been that guy. I don't care about that.
If your house is going up 4% a year for 3 years and then crashes at 9, you're still up 4.
I know.
And your payment versus your rent payment doesn't go away. Your house payment, it's still the same.
You still got to pay to live.
The money's still going out. But what am I getting for my money?
Yeah, but I lost 100% of my rent.
Yeah, every month.
Yeah, every month.
That's a great point,
I don't
Dan.
get any of it back.
That's a great point. And I hope everybody understands what I just said a moment ago. I am not one of these guys, and maybe some would think that I am, but I am not. I honestly could care less what the name of the neighborhood is I live in. That never meant anything to me. No. Never. I've never looked at someplace and said, well, I think I'd like to live over there just because it's such and such. I could care less.
I thought you lived over at John Rush Estates.
I do.
Yeah,
My own.
Yeah, well, it's your own neighborhood. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
named after you.
Well, yeah, I wish. Not hardly. And I've lived in some places that, for example, Rock Creek was a big deal over in Superior at one point in time. Lived over there for a little bit, not because of the name, but because I bought the house right and made decent money on it. And as soon as I could move out of there, I did, because I couldn't stand living around all the yuppies, but that's a whole other story. Again, I'm not one of these guys that lives in a neighborhood just because it's got a particular name attached to it.
I learned a long time ago from my parents when I went out to buy a house, what you got to look at is the numbers on the house first.
Yes.
If the numbers don't fit, it doesn't matter where it's at. It's not going to work.
Thank you, Kurt.
It's about the numbers because I'm spending the money. I want something back.
But you'd be surprised, and you know this as well as I,
yes.
How many people buy because it's sort of like keeping up with the Joneses. In other words, it's in the neighborhood they want to move into next, or it's the next level that they want to move into, or. I've never been that guy. I've always looked at the house as an investment, maybe because I'm self-employed and it is a part of my, my investment portfolio. What am I going to do with that house at some point in time? And, when I sell out, eventually down the road, what's the equity and how does that help me down the road? And I've always looked at it that way, not the other.
Because I'm not going to be in the house forever. My last house, like the one I'm in now, that's different. I'm 60 plus. That's a different home.
I got it.
When I'm going through the other processes, It's just a means to an end. How's it going to work?
So you can, what you're telling me, look at your potential house ownership as part of an investment if you do things correctly, right? Including even how you do the mortgage, right? How it's structured.
Without a doubt. Yeah, and this is why we have the show on Your Money Matters. This is why we talk about how to save money. Pay attention to the money you're spending and how can I keep as much of that as possible. Just to say I own a home is great.
Yeah.
If I'm owning the right home at the right money, I'm improving my scenario. So eventually I can get that dream home. Eventually I have enough money to pay cash and I have no mortgage. There's so many other things that you can do.
See, for me, maybe I'm wrong in this and other people would probably argue, but I don't have a dream home. It's the home I'm living in right now is the dream home because I have a roof over my head, and it's an investment, and I'm making money with it. Where's the next one going to be? I have no idea. Everything I own is for sale. My family and my wife probably hate hearing that, but the reality is if the right guy comes along with the right kind of money, everything's for sale except them.
Except for family.
I mean, that's just how I look at things. Now, not everybody does, but what I would like to encourage people to do is start looking at your home a little differently. A home is not the roof that's over your head. The home is what you make of it. It's just a place you live in. And the minute you start looking at it as a square box with walls that you can do anything you want to with, including making money, life changes.
I was talking to a friend today, and he was talking about this family. They had 4 kids, and every Sunday they would go over to mom and dad's house, even when they're 25, 30, 35 years old, to have dinner.
Okay.
Mom and dad died. They didn't sell the house. The home was the house. They went over and had dinner every Sunday, all 4 of them together, because it was home.
Got it.
Now, the house was free and clear, but that was their home.
Got it.
That's what a home is. It's not a building. It's where you meet.
Fully agree. So in your world, and I know it's something you probably stress all the time, how do you get people to think about it that way versus just this, how should I say it? I mean, some people, in my opinion, get so emotionally wrapped up with some things, including their home, they don't even know what to do when it comes time to sell it.
I try to explain to them it's the numbers. How are the numbers working out? You know, you spent this much, you want to sell it for this, here's your cost. Is this good for you? Or if you're going to buy it, how's it fit into your budget?
Mm-hmm.
Are you extending yourself just because you want to have this house that's in that neighborhood?
Right.
You know, because if the market does crash, what's going to happen to you? And that's what happened in 2008. There were a lot of banks and government putting people in the homes just to put them in. Yep. We don't care how much you make. Yep. Because it was good for them. It wasn't good for you.
Yep. Rates. What do you think they're going to do in relation to home values and all of that?
What I see in rates, and I've talked to a couple different people, the Mortgage Bankers Association thinks they're going to go from anywhere from 4.25 to 4.6 by the end of the year.
Okay.
The National Association of Realtors figures 4.5. I think they're a little biased because they think that that'll help the market. What you see from Realtor.com is they actually see rates being 5% by the end of the year. I think they're probably closer to reality. I think you're going to see 4.75 to 5 by the end of the year. We're down around 4 to 4.25 now. Still great rates.
Yeah,
if you bought a house in the last 20.
Yeah, still great rates.
Still great rates. If they go to 4.5, the difference in payment is like $30. It's when they start getting to 6, 6.5, and 7 that things really start to change and affect you more drastically on what you buy.
Okay, when we come back, one of the things I want to talk about too, which we've done in the past, is taking potentially some of that equity, whether it be equity that you want to have to go buy a condo that you rent out, buy a second home, start a business. There's multiple ways to take some of what you've got and what you've earned and not be stupid about it, but be very smart with what you do with that money. But you've got the ability to help them with that as well, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, we'll come right back. Kurt Rogers with us again. Affordable Interest Mortgage, 720-895-0500. Call him today. Anything you need, he'll meet you anywhere and talk about what he can do to help you out. In the meantime, Extreme Auto Repair is coming up next. They would love to help you with your vehicle. It's really that simple. In the heart of Parker, 303-841-1071. Give them a call today, and when you do, tell them Rush to Reason sent you.
Dennis Brewster has long believed that if you take care of your employees take care of your customers. Happy employees mean happy customers. More than once, when Dennis noticed one of his technicians becoming easily frustrated over an auto repair, he'd ask how long it had been since that tech took a vacation. If it had been a long while, Dennis encouraged the tech to take a break, go somewhere with a family, enjoy a few days off. Inevitably, that technician returned from that brief respite, refreshed and eager to get back to work. They'd even thank their boss for giving them the nudge. Dennis doesn't want to overlook his technicians because you, the customer, would be the one who suffers. So, get your vehicle repaired by technicians who want to be there. Satisfied workers do better work, so Extreme Auto Repair offers better repairs. Call 303-841-1071 to make an appointment today.
Financial planning, retirement planning, estate planning. 3 unique skills, 1 experienced professional. Call David Sean of Householder Group for a free consultation at 720-482-1917. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.
Let's face it, auto mechanics don't have the best reputation. They mumble a lot, their hands are always dirty, they say names of car parts that sound made up, and it's really hard to tell if they're ripping you off or not. Let's just say that you are not alone if you have ever felt less than confident in your mechanic. So how do you know who to trust? The answer is ColoradoSelect.com. Colorado Select is a group of hand-picked member shops who are all dedicated to obliterating the bad reputation of auto mechanics. The ASE-certified master technicians at every shop are fully vetted, so you know they're trustworthy, and every Colorado Select member shop is fully committed to ensuring that you get the best customer experience possible. Plus, with the Colorado Select 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, you can have total peace of mind. Stop just hoping that your mechanic is doing the right thing and make sure you choose someone you can trust. Go to ColoradoSelect.com for the member shop nearest you. Keep your car on the road. Select the best at Colorado Select.
It's time to leave your safe space. This is Rush to Reason on KLZ 560.
All right, Rush to Reason, Denver's Afternoon Rush, KLZ 560. By the way, I apologize. I should have done this earlier. If you'd like to talk to Kurt about something, you've got a question for him, give us a call, 303-477-5600. We did a lot of talking, but a lot of info that I wanted to get out that I think would help most of you that are listening. And again, I'm just a guy that really values and looks at assets in general as just that. And there are certain things, no matter what you do, they are not an asset. For example, the car you just bought new, that is not an asset. That's a liability. It depreciates every day. It's not an asset. Sorry, it's just not. Now, some cars you can buy potentially can be an asset, depending upon what you buy them at, and what the future holds there for that particular unit.
What's the purpose of the vehicle, too?
Purpose of the vehicle. It's exactly
like mine cash flows.
Yeah, but if you're just driving it, and for most people, buying a car is an expense. Now, we want you to think of your house as not being that. Am I right, Kurt? We want it to be something that you can gain some equity and actually earn money on.
We have this belief, and I don't disagree with it, as we get older, that we should own our home free and clear. Now, while I don't necessarily disagree with that, so if you don't have a house payment, that's great. But that all came from our grandparents in the Depression, when the banks could walk up to you, even if you were making your payments on time and you own them $5,000 in the house, they could say, give me the $5,000 or get out. There was no law.
Right.
Now there's a law that they can't do that.
Got it. So if you have a mortgage, it's there. It's
there. As long as you're making payments, they can't come get the house.
Got it.
So we were taught to own our house free and clear. My question then is, if you got a house that's got $300,000-$400,000 worth of equity, what's that equity getting you in a rate of return?
Nothing. It's zero, because you haven't taken it out yet.
That's right. So if I can
Zero.
borrow money at 4 and turn around and make money over here at 6, 7, or 8, and I get a tax break over here because
or in a business, if you can net 10.
That's exactly. So there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. I'm not saying get payment poor.
Right.
But look at different ways in which you can take some of the money out of your house and put it somewhere else that's safe. And there's plenty of places out here to do that.
Yes, there is.
We have plenty of financial planners that can show you how to do that.
Yes, there are. That's
and
right.
Improve your financial situation using the equity in your home because of what has happened over the last couple of years with homes.
That's right.
And to bring it to another point, I think we sometimes we don't take advantage of protecting our home. And what I mean by that, or a car or credit cards. What I mean by that is if there's an emergency that pops up, let's say you lose your job or you get hurt, how do you make your mortgage payment? How do you make your car payment?
Most can't.
So what I'm suggesting to people now, and I don't do these, but what I suggest, let's say your house is worth $500 and you owe $300. Go out and get a $50,000 to $75,000 line of credit. Don't put any money on it. Just have it available.
Got it.
So when that speed bump comes up,
you can handle
instead of tapping a credit card or your retirement or your savings or your kids' college fund or the slush fund, you use this.
Got it.
And it gets by. My neighbor did that. When the 2008 hit, she took advice. She had it. She had the all-in-one.
Right.
The loan worked perfect. She was unemployed for 18 months. She didn't lose her credit. She never missed a mortgage payment because she had this little reserve that cost her nothing till that emergency came up.
Got it.
And I don't think enough people pay attention to do that.
Can you still make money in the rental market?
Absolutely, positively, yes.
So buying a condo, renting it, whatever, there's still money in that?
Very much so. When you're looking at rent at $19.50, a $300,000 house is $18,000. What's a $200,000 condo? 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
About the same.
About $250, and your payment's going to be what, $1,600?
Yeah.
Because your homeowner's insurance on a condo is less, and your taxes are less. Now you got an HOA, but you don't have to pay for any maintenance.
Duplex is another way to make money.
Duplex is a great way to make money.
Homes, they call them now.
Yeah. You get a $400,000 duplex, and that total payment might be $3,000, but you're going to rent it for $2,000, so your cost is $1,000.
And you live in one side and rent the other.
That's right, and you get better rates because it's a primary residence. You and I have talked about that.
So why don't more people think along those lines? Is it just that they're wanting to work their 40-hour job and come home and have a beer and not really think much about what's going on, or what?
It's hard to understand how some people get it. I have many clients that have 11, 15, 20 rental properties, and they keep leveraging them, and they keep making more. So when times are tough, they got this cash flow.
Right.
And other people that are afraid to take that risk. If you're not comfortable, don't take the risk because you'll do it the wrong way. When you buy rental properties, you're buying it for one or two reasons. Is it going to cash flow like your car does for Uber?
Yep,
Right.
cash flow.
Or can I turn it and make some money on it quickly? Those are the only two reasons you buy rental. First rental I bought, my wife wanted to help, and she wanted to fix the house up. I said, it's a rental.
It's a rental. You don't do anything to that.
Yeah.
You get it where it's nice and clean for the
investment.
next people to come in and rent it. That's it.
And that's how you move them along.
White walls, nice carpet, done.
Yeah. Beige carpet.
Clean the bathrooms, you're done.
Because you're going to paint it and carpet it again.
Probably in 4 or 5 years. So you might as well just get used to that.
That's right.
That's why I don't own rental properties that aren't commercial based, because I can't do that. I'm too anal. I just can't handle that. But again, there's other opportunities for that. You can take some of that, what I just said. You can take money out of your house and go buy a commercial piece of property if you want to and become the landlord of that if you'd like.
Exactly.
If you don't want to do houses and rent those, there's other ways you can do it.
Properly done, you can treat your house like a bank. And I'm not saying maximize it out, but treat it like a bank to be able to access the money to give you opportunity to improve your retirement.
To make more money.
Yes.
And the idea here, folks, along these lines, and I realize Kurt's on here, he's our mortgage broker, and he's really the guy that can help you get all this dialed in. I understand that, but what I'm trying to get people to realize and think about is whether you work for somebody else or not, you are your own boss. What you do with your future is still up to you, no one else. And having passive income that just comes in automatically month after month after month, there's something to be said for that, by the way, Kurt, most people don't have.
No, they don't.
In other words, you can make money in the mailbox every month without ever getting out of bed. That's the kind of income you want to set up.
There's people that have taken $20,000 a year out of their home and invested it into a bank on yourself, and by the time they get to 65, that will pay them $2,000 a month for the rest of their life. And they use their house to do it, and it's tax-free money. It's simple, safe, guaranteed kind of things. You may have to look at your house a little bit different. I'm not telling anybody to go out and get 100% loan to value. That happened.
Agree. Neither am I.
Pay attention
Make
to
sure
what
you got
it
a nice
is,
cushion there.
but give yourself a cushion to be able to invest properly.
Yes, thoroughly agree. All right, I know you've got. We're getting close to time here. I know you've got disclaimers, other things we've got to do. First of all, what do you want to leave anybody else with that we didn't cover yet?
Well, the main thing I think that what's going to happen to home values as interest rates go up, home values are going to change. We're starting to see it. The prediction is this year that they will increase by 4.6%.
Okay.
But part of the problem is there's not enough homes out there.
Got it.
From 2017 to 2018, the actual inventory went down by 10.5%.
Got it.
So that's going to keep prices up.
Okay.
But at some point, incomes can't catch, and they're going to stop.
Got it.
So you're going to see probably closer to a 3 to 4% increase. That's why I was conservative with the number I used before.
Makes sense. Okay.
And the other thing is if you're looking at another way, maybe having a larger line of credit, the all-in-one, the asset manager loan is a perfect way to do that.
All right. Disclaimers.
Okay. Affordable interest mortgage, 7400 East Arapahoe Road, Suite 109, Centennial, Colorado. Regulated by the Division of Real Estate, equal credit lender, NMLS 298191. When I was quoting a payment earlier, I was using a $291,000 loan amount, 740 FICO, 97% loan to value with no mortgage insurance, and an APR 5.312.
All right. Kurt Rogers, 720-895-0500. Anything mortgage-wise, you can tell. He is our guy. Give him a call. He'd love to help you. Kurt, as always, joy having you.